Okay, we're graphing the function. We need to identify, after it's graphed, we have to identify the axis of symmetry, and we need to identify the range. Okay, ranges of possible y values. Now, we talked about the axis of symmetry in the last one. It's whatever the x values at the vertex. It's actually a straight vertical line that splits the parabola in half. Okay. So, f of x, remember that means y, equals the parentheses x minus 1 to the second plus 2. So we see x to the second, so we know it's going to make a u. Okay, so we're not going to deal with the parent coordinates here. So you're not going to just put 0, 1, negative 1 every time. Okay, that's done. I don't want to do that anymore. That's a dumb way to even think about that. I just did it because I kind of have to. Now, this is AHK, so you put a 1 there so you know your A. Okay, it's positive 1, so the graph will be this way. And then H and K. Now, this middle one is known as the vertex. Okay. To find the vertex out of AHK, it's easy. For X, you just take the opposite of H. So H is negative 1, minus 1 means it's negative 1. That's the value. So it would be positive 1. Or plus 1 if you want to put that. Then you add 1 into 2, and then you go 1 minus 1 to 0. So those are your x coordinates. Now we're going to put those into the equation for x. So 1 parentheses 2 minus 1 to the second power plus 2. 2 minus 1 is 1, 1 to the second is 1, and then 1 times 1 is 1, plus 2 is 3. I did the please excuse my internet selling in my head. Now, don't clear that. Click the up key on your compass, and instead of 2, we want to put 1 in. I can guarantee you the vertex y is always going to match whatever the k is. Because 1 minus 1 is 0. 0 to the second power is still 0, and then times by the 1 in front would still be 0, plus 2 is 2. Now I click up, now I want 0 in. 0 minus 1 is negative 1, but negative 1 to the second power is 1. And then 1 times 1 is 1, plus 2 is 3. Okay, so those are your coordinates. So 2, 3. 1, 2, 0, 3. So there's the graph. That wasn't too hard. Now, axis of symmetry, just put axis of sim, and then on the rest of the problems, just put AOS. You put x equals, and you need to label your vertex right in the middle, 1, 2. X equals 1. What an axis of symmetry does, it's just an imaginary line, vertical, that just cuts the parabola in half vertically. Okay. See, because you're running through the x-axis at 1, so that's why it's expressed as x equals 1. Now the range. You take your y, range is possible values for y. So y is 2, and the arrows are going up, so it would be greater than or equal to 2. It would eat the y when it goes up. Okay, that means y can be anything bigger than 2, but it can't ever go below 2, as you can see on the graph. It just gets higher than 2. Okay, next problem. Again, x to the second, we know that's a quadratic function. It's a parabola. Okay, so again, this is AHK. It's known as vertex form. Okay. So here's A, here's H, here's K. So again, x is easy to find. The vertex x coordinate's super easy to find. You just take the opposite of h, which is 2. Add 1, 3, minus 1, 1. Okay, just the opposite of the h. Now plug those in. 2 parentheses 3 minus 2 to the second plus 5. Now that's 1. 1 to the second is 1. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 5 is 7. Now click up. Now we put 2 in place of the x instead of 3. I guarantee it's going to be the k value, the 5. Since that's 0, 0 to the second, 0, times 2 is 0, plus 5 is 5. Now, put 1 in, and that's going to be the same thing, because 1 minus 1 is negative 1, but when you take negative 1 to the second, it comes out as 1, because negative 1 times negative 1 is 1, so you're back to 7. Okay, so 3, 7. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2, 5. And then 1, 7. Okay, label the vertex so we can answer those two questions. 2, 5. Just put A, O, S, okay? X equals 2. So all that does is just draw a vertical line that splits the parabola in half. This is the only assignment we're going to be making that, but the range, okay, you put your Y with your 5, and from there the arrows go up again, so it's going to be the same inequality symbol as it was on the last one where it eats the Y. Okay, next problem. F of x, otherwise known as y, equals negative 3 times the quantity x plus 7 to the second minus 8. Now we have an A, an H, and a K right there. Since A is negative, I should expect that it's going to go upside down. So it's a U. It'll be upside down, but that's fine. The graph will tell me that. Okay, so the middle x is the opposite of the h value. So it's positive 7, so it's going to be negative 7. Negative 6, negative 8. If you accidentally have those in the opposite places, that's fine. It's not going to affect what we have. So negative 3, parentheses, negative 6 plus 7, second power, minus 8. That's 1. 1 to the second's 1. Then 3 times 1 is 3, and then 3 minus 8 is negative 11, or negative 3 minus 8 is negative 11. Yeah, 1 to the second's 1, times negative 3 is negative 3, minus 8 is negative 11. Now I can guarantee you this is going to match your K. Okay, so we want negative 7, and just as I told you it was going to, it's negative 8. Then negative 8 and negative 11. Okay, thing is we have to make our y-axis go by 2's, okay? 2's here, we'll still go by 1's on the x, okay? So I got to go down because they're negatives. Okay, so negative 6, negative 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then negative 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then negative 8. Negative 8, negative 11 down here. Okay. Then axis of symmetry. Label the vertex, please. Negative 7, negative 8. And x equals negative 7. That's your axis of symmetry. Now the range. You put the y with the vertex value, negative 8, and now the arrows are going down, so it's a less than sign. It'll eat the number. Okay, it means negative 8 is the maximum you can get. Okay, if you want to pause the video, do the 3 graphs, go for it, because these are kind of confusing. Okay, I will explain this very slowly. A gardener is putting a wire fence around the edge of his rectangular garden to keep animals from eating his plants. He has 20 meters of fence. What quadratic function represents the area of the garden? Quadratic function means you're going to have to write it in terms of one variable, and it's got to be the variable, whatever the letter is, needs to be to the second. It's not going to be x, because we're dealing with length and width. Here's what you do right away. It says area. Whenever you have to write an equation for area, you make 2 parentheses multiplied together equals area. Okay? Put a little L up there, that's length. Put a W up here, that's width. Length times width equals area. Now, here's the conundrum, though. This is where, so everybody can write that. This 20 meters is the outsides, it's the side length. So what I want you to do, please, is just come off to the side here. Make a rectangle, length, length, width, width. See, the 20 meters of fence is going around the sides, okay? The outsides. Length, length, WW. We're going to take that 20 meters, wrap it around. So there are 2 L's to wrap it around, plus 2 W's to wrap it around. And that's going to equal this 20 here. See, LL, 2L, WW, 2W, 2L plus 2W equals 20. Now, what you need to do to fill this out is you need to pick one of the variables and get it by itself, like you would a Y if you had to graph. I'm going to go with W on every problem. Okay, so I'm going to put a multiplication, take out the 2L with minus 2L, and then you put a 0L, so you have a place to minus 2L. So now we have 2 times W, and then put your negative 2L first, and then plus your 20. Now you need to divide by 2. Okay, so W is equal to negative 1L plus 10. Now, please replace, okay, this is known as your base, remember, and this is your replace. So you go to this W, cross it out, and put negative 1L plus 10. Now you're like, what about the other parentheses? Well, that you just drop the L down. This parentheses has an L, this parentheses has an L, we're good. Now I want that multiplied out, okay? It's very easy to do, you're just distributing. So 1L times negative 1L, and then 1L times 10. Now when I find these products, let's talk about the variables. Now we don't know what value L is, and we're not going to know it, but there's 2 of them multiplied together. L times L means I write L to the second power. Then in front of it, 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. Then here I just write the unknown L. It's not to the second because this is the only L I have, and then 1 times 10 is 10. These cannot be combined. An L to the second and an L are not like terms. Come over here and you write negative 1L to the second. You just keep them separated, plus 10L, and problem solved. Okay. I'm going to do another one just like it. We have 100 feet of wire to build a rectangular fence. What quadratic equation represents the area of the fence? Now I'm going to jump, remember, variable to the second. Well, there's my variable to the second. It's right. So set in your parentheses equals area, and then length, width. I'm going to go down here and draw my rectangle. Okay, so 2L plus 2W. And that equals the amount of feet we have to wrap around the fence, okay? So 100. That's actually the perimeter, okay, that you're wrapping around all your sides. So there's 2 sides with L, 2L, 2 sides with W, plus 2W equals 100 because I have 100 feet of fence to build this. Okay, let's get the W by itself again. So minus 2L. Minus, 0L. See, I don't want to do it from 100 because 100 is not multiplied by L. So it's going to be negative 2L plus 100. And you divide everything by 2. So W equals negative 1L plus 50. And now this is the base, W, and this is the replace. So you go to your W, the base, cross it out, and replace it with negative 1L plus 50. Now in this one, you just drop the L straight down. Now you have the same variable in each parentheses. That's the whole point, okay? Now you multiply it. You take 1L times negative 1L. And then 1L times 50. Okay, we have 2 factors of L. L's unknown, so it's L to the second. 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. and you have a factor of L. 1 times 50 is 50. You cannot combine those. L to the second and L are completely different terms, so you keep them separate. Negative 1L to the second plus 50L equals area. There's your answer. Those are a little bit confusing. Let me know if you have a question.